G'day everyone, my name is Callum Martin, I'm here at AVDC and we've got an exclusive here. This is Stinger's brand new HEIGH10 10-inch floating screen head unit. I'm really excited to check this out. I haven't unboxed this yet, I haven't looked inside here at all. We've just got this delivery and I really want to go through it with you guys. So let's grab our box opening tool here. Yeah, let's check this out. So this has just arrived in Australia, been available in the States only recently. I'm really looking forward to trying this out in a car, and we've actually got a recipient lined up for this very one. But first of all, let's check out the hardware itself. Comes packed quite well here, it's laid out in foam, pretty easy to find your way around. Well, look, should we go for the screen or the head unit first? I don't know. No, let's go for the screen. That's an easy choice. Ooh, wow. Look at that. Hi guys. So this is the Stinger HEIGH10's screen, a beautiful 10-inch capacitive touchscreen. Wow. You know what? This is different in person to what I have seen on the internet. The feel of this is beautiful. This is a nice satin bezel with a really nice gloss black inlay here on these control buttons. We've got a beautiful satin silver volume knob with a really nice detent. It's just a really nice, smooth feeling detented volume knob with a push button in the middle there. And then we've got 4 shortcut buttons there. I really like that they've kept the track buttons on here, and I really like that they've kept the volume knob. You know, it just makes it suitable for a wider range of applications and a little bit more user-friendly, so I really like that. Got a beautiful flush capacitive touchscreen here. That is absolutely stunning. And like I say, the satin bezel that extends around to the back, and you can see they've got their mounting system on there as well as their connectors for the display itself. So in terms of thickness, it isn't very. In fact, this is quite thin for a floating display. I think that's thinner than most of the models that I've seen so far, which is pretty cool. Got a little bit of a taper near the top there to make it slimmer again. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is a really, really neat, stunning looking display. And of course, you're going to spend most of your time looking at what is on that display, not what that display is. But I think that presents really, really well. Fantastic. What a nice thing. All right, let's check out the next parts. All right, so our next piece here is the brain, the head unit, the brain, the control unit, whatever you would like to call it. So it is a single DIN. As far as I know, this is the only 10-inch floating screen that has a single DIN brain. And that is actually really important. It allows for a wider range of mounting options. It allows for more flexibility where this thing is mounted and how it's used. So that's actually really cool. So we've got the heatsink on the side here with the mounting screws. Really nothing at all on the front except for a navigation SD card if that's being used. And then all our connectors on the back. There's a fairly recognizable head unit connector, fairly recognizable antenna connector here, USB, HDMI. We've got a bunch of things. This is something that people get quite excited about. That is the optical audio output, something that is very rare on head units these days. Really cool to see that included. Put that in properly. And a bunch of different integration connectors, and I'm sure their purposes will become clear along with the antenna. I get the impression this unit is as compact as they could possibly make it. And honestly, if you look at that, I mean, it is really compact as a single DIN chassis, despite offering such a big screen and so much functionality. Absolutely beautiful. Cool. So this is the mounting system, and as you can see, it's actually quite separate to the screen and the head unit. And that's because Stinger is not a company that just caters for the status quo. They are very, very well set up for dealing with custom installs and things like that, and that is a priority that they've given to the design of the HEIGH10, which is why we've got this installation frame to go along with the system. So when you're using this as a traditional in-dash installation in a factory mounting spot, this bracket works in conjunction with the head unit brain, making that a double DIN install. That's important to know. That essentially is another single DIN unit that fits in. These two separate quite easily. This is the screen end, and of course the head unit end. That's got a spring-loaded bottom catch. And that clips onto there, that clips over the top, and that is on. They're steel shafts that hooks onto, and it's a really solid, sturdy bracket design there. So yeah, that's really cool, because of course one of the biggest challenges with these large floating screen head units is the large screen tends to get in the way of mounting the actual screen, because the fasteners usually sit behind the screen, and it's no different with this, except they've come up with a more ingenious way of securing those two together without tools. That's genius, absolutely fantastic. We've got a bellows. This is, as the name suggests, a rubber cover, which is designed to go over the mounting hardware arrangement so that you can't see any of those connections. It hides all of that rather neatly. Again, flexible, literally flexible, so that you can use different mounting depths and mounting angles, and that will account for that quite nicely. And last of all, we have got all of our accessories here. And there are quite a lot of wiring harnesses in here, and I should imagine so. It's a very, very well featured unit. First of all, these are our two screen cables, and it doesn't have a cradle system, it doesn't have a ribbon, it doesn't have a captive connector. These cables go from the brain to the screen, one point to the other point, and that allows for real flexible mounting options, because the brain doesn't actually have to be physically attached to the screen, only electrically. So this is really cool. And Stinger actually offers a few different variants of the HEIGH10 and a few different variants of these display cables. So if you've got different installation requirements that might need longer cables, or that might require for the screen to be mounted in a different way, further away from the brain unit, these cables are your friend, because they can be had in longer lengths. Even so, these are 40 centimeters long, and you'd be surprised how much flexibility that offers you as well. Even just in terms of the orientation of the brain, whether it sits this way or this way or this way, these cables can accommodate for that rather well. Got a few more bracket. We've got another bracket adapter here. I can only imagine that is for a purpose. We have a GPS antenna and its little backing pad with the blue FACRA connector, which goes on the back of that brain unit. In fact, all of the connectors go on the back of the brain unit. Would you believe it? Backstrap, bracket. And then we've got some cool stuff here. I'm going to go through that in a moment. This appears to be an audio harness. So multi-pin connector, you can wire this up to your system, have it ready, and just plug it into the head unit brain when you're connecting the system. Now there's lots of integration options with this head unit, and they're presented on all these assortment of connectors. But first of all, of course, are the pre-outs. We've got front, we've got rear, and I can only imagine here is the subwoofer. So we've got 3 sets of pre-outs. Beautiful. They've got little sheaths over them, really nice, stock ground loops and things like that, with isolating those connections really nicely. So we've got the audio output for the second zone. This is dual zone capable. We've got a video output. We've got an auxiliary input, and that is audio and video analog RCAs. One of many inputs on this thing. And we've also got reverse camera in. So of course, this is just a standard analog RCA input for composite video. This is one of 4 camera inputs on this beast. Absolutely amazing. The second video output, so you've got a pair of video outputs there. And then here we've got 3 wires which constitute our steering wheel control inputs. So they're terminated to bullet connectors for adapting to a steering wheel control adapter harness if it's required. So that is our audio and video harness, let's say. So here are other 3 camera inputs: camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. Also analog RCA inputs suitable for basically every camera out there. And you've got triggers for each one. Absolutely beautiful. I can't tell you how many times in the course of our work installing cameras in cars, front cameras, rear cameras, side cameras, trailer cameras, we do a lot of different camera setups. And I can't tell you how much I wished for not only extra camera inputs, but extra triggers. These can take things like an indicator light flashing or a trailer connector being engaged to automatically trigger these. So rather than just having a reverse trigger, which brings the reverse camera up, and your other cameras which you have to navigate to manually on the touchscreen, these can work automatically with triggers from the car. Absolutely beautiful. Just such a good idea. And what this does is it makes this HEIGH10 ideal if you're looking to add extra cameras for your caravan, for trailers, a front parking camera, and even side parking cameras to check how close you are to the curb, because this head unit can take all of that natively without any extra hardware and messing around. And I can't tell you how much extra hardware and messing around we've done here over the years. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. We've got our pink speed sensor wire here, and we've got an integration connector called PackLink. Very interesting. Got some more things here. This is a Bluetooth mic. Oh my goodness, that's a very small Bluetooth mic. Look at that. I've never actually seen a Bluetooth mic that small. It's honestly a quarter of the size of most Bluetooth mics. Wow. And you've got a windscreen stick-on pad there with a little bit of a wedge for angle, although that angle is fixed otherwise. Oh, that's nice. I've got a screen cleaning cloth. Beautiful. More integration. So that's the microphone input and reverse camera audio input. Well, there's something I didn't know. You can also feed audio in with a reverse camera. That's actually really handy. You know, if you're just daily driving a hatchback or a sedan, you may not know this, but if you're towing a caravan, audio on your reverse camera is actually a really good idea. The same thing if you've got a horse float, being able to hear what's going on. If someone's helping you park, if someone's giving you directions, being able to hear that as well as see it. Really good idea. You've got your installation harness here, and just like all the other wires, these are all individually labeled. That's really nice, really well thought out. You've got your reverse trigger on there as well. Your speaker outputs, your illumination, your power, your ground, your remote for turning on amps. That is a fairly conventional head unit harness. But again, really well thought out, beautifully labeled. A nice long harness, and we haven't got any short wires. I can't tell you how much that frustrates me when you've got a harness, all the wires are a decent length, and then there's one that's short for some input or something, or some trigger. What a pain. These are all a nice length. Beautiful. I can only imagine they're about 20-25 centimeters long in total. Who'd have thunk it? A nice, clean harness. And then we've got some bracketry and some fasteners. So we've got black fasteners here with an Allen key. I can only imagine they're for connecting to the screen. And then we've got a bunch of self-tapping hardware as well. And I'm sure their purposes all become clear in the manual. And look, the thing is, with a floating screen head unit that has more complicated mechanical fastening than a normal head unit, it really does pay to read that manual, because there's lots of screws, they all go in specific places, and it's important to get it right. Otherwise you're gonna have a bad day. So mounting hardware, brilliant. Oh, well, that's a good start. They've got to put a diagram right on the front. That's better than a lot of installation manuals. So let's have a quick look through this. It's a really nice satin, you know, this isn't just a big, huge 2-meter square sheet of thin paper. This is a really nice satin, you know, thick paper manual. This is something that can actually stand up to an install bay. I don't know why they print huge, you know, unfold, you know, a million folds later, you've got something the size of a tablecloth installation guide. This makes a lot more sense. You've got all of the stuff that's included, a full manifest of everything going on, as well as optional accessories. And see, here's what I'm talking about: infrared remote control, and then power and display harnesses for that screen in 5-foot length. That's really smart. So here are the mounting details for that bracket to the brain unit, and they become a double DIN piece if you're using them together, and then you can mount them into a normal dash kit. So this screen can mount flat, which means that from left to right in the car, it is square on, but it can be mounted on an angle. There is an angle plate. That's what that is all about. Just here, piece number 2 is an angle plate. So you can actually angle that screen a little bit towards the driver. Gee, I would have never thought of that, but that's absolute genius. You can attach this screen tilted towards the driver slightly. Huh, that's, yeah, brilliant. So of course you can attach it with or without that angle plate, and they're the diagrams for doing that, of course, with your height adjustment with those slotted screws and multiple screw hole locations. So that's a little bit easier to make sense of when it's removed. And you can see those slotted mounting holes, they give you height adjustability. You can see the screw holes through there, hopefully. And if that doesn't line up, well, you can move it down. You can move it up to a different set of holes. As long as you're engaging 4 of these 10 screw holes, you're going to have a good day. So that makes a lot of sense. These clips here are to hold the rubber bellows on, so to cover all those connections, those clips are there. And then if we are to angle it towards the driver, in Australia, we're going to want to put the high side of that on the passenger side, which would be this side. So when we pop this on, we're actually attaching that screen on an angle. That's actually a reasonably good angle too. That's going to make a real difference for some installs in some cars where you want a better screen angle towards the driver. And that, of course, has a second set of clips for holding the bellows on, so that sits against the monitor nicely. Gee, I don't know why I'm getting so excited over angled screen mounting, but it's something I've never seen before. I don't think it's something anyone's ever done before, so that's really cool. Kudos to Stinger for coming up with a really smart installation idea. Oh man, I can't wait to use this. Such a nice feeling screen. So solid, like it feels really well made. I've got different examples here of mounting in a double DIN dash kit and configuring everything to sit nicely. Details for attaching those bellows, and then all our connections. So many connections. That gives you a bit of detail on exactly how all those wiring harnesses I showed you connect to this system, and I will leave that to you to check out. Some of the highlights include there being 2 USB inputs, but the first USB input is for CarPlay or Android Auto. So you don't have to plug into different USBs to use a different brand of phone. Who'd have thunk it? Absolutely brilliant. And that also means that you can have, for example, a USB on the console, under the center armrest or on the dash, and you can have one in the glove box for a flash drive or a secondary connection of some sort, and you don't have to switch between them for different brands of phone. That makes a lot of sense. So look, fantastic. Let me just get this all back together and summarize. So guys, that is Stinger's HEIGH10 10-inch floating screen head unit, and I really can't wait to install that. We're going to be doing that very soon. We've got a vehicle lined up. We're going to be connecting this into a fantastic sound system, and I can't wait to show you some of these features in that vehicle as soon as we've got it installed. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Do check out more about the Stinger HEIGH10 in the links in the video description, and I will see you next time here at AVDC.